was it that they trotted out? The dogs. Jetsam? It was about 5 or 6 people there.
So, about that.
No.
This is someone I know, and for their own sake, I'm not going to say their name. You may eventually learn of it, though I wouldn't poke around with this because the authorities are involved, right? And any questions about this thing may lead them to look at you, which wouldn't be a good thing. But, a military cargo ship seemingly crashed out by Zancudo Airfield. Outside were a series of packages. No one inside the plane itself. This military plane looked like a mix between a bomber and like an aerial gunner. While military, it didn't look American. Almost looked like old Soviet style. Maybe from the 70s. Maybe even 60s.
You're saying it's possible that...
No,
those guys have come back? Because they were around a few years back, as I was told.
I wouldn't say that it's the Russians, but rather the equipment is, right? In fact, if I were to suspect it, it may have been like a weapons pots delivery or something, right? You might be wondering how I know this or if you're familiar with it, but we can touch on that momentarily. I cannot conclusively say that is the case, but that's like my suspicion. But the suspicion further drew out with that very tweet you mentioned. That went out maybe an hour, 2 hours after the sighting. And when this thing was found in the water, law enforcement were notified. Apparently they ignored it for hours until they did finally arrive. What they do with it, how far it goes, obviously unknown. But like you said, with the Oracle twatting out Jetsam, my suspicion is that they took it out. Now, I want to roll back into the conversation about hardware. I can tell you that obviously there's a lot of things that I'm involved in, things that are cooking, things that I'm doing beyond the mayorship. And very similar to how I see myself as having a role in making sure that laws are in a good place, that people are safe, and I have to look over law enforcement. I do end up getting into conversations with entities that have a lot more weight than I ever will. At least at this current juncture. And so I'm very familiar with many aspects of that business. Though my relationship is more of a consultant. That wouldn't be accurate. I have to be very diplomatic.
Well, yeah, it's not like you can really openly do much. You have to do everything very covertly if you do anything less than legal. It's understandable.
Do you remember when things got really bad? It was when you were still in the office. Where we'd be trying to do so much good and there was just so much ignoring everything that it is that we did. Where it's just
heartbreaking.
It was. And that's when I decided to get involved. And I would say, even to this day, hasn't been that long, most of that shit that's out on the streets is because of me. think I moved about 4,000 pieces.
Very nice.
Material cost was pretty significant. I think something like 1,600 times 3.
Wow.
Yeah. Sourcing, logistics, in between meetings, making sure things were getting around. But that, and the reason for that is I wanted to drive. Law enforcement were ruining lives, as were the judges, hand in hand.
Agreed.
And I think some semblance of that still occurs, even though it's better. But at that time, in that moment, I saw myself having to lean on an opportunity that was presented to me. And I was hoping to leverage that organization to help direct some of my anger. Look, I wanted them to fucking bomb the goddamn courthouse and put a fucking bullet in some of those justices' heads. Unfortunately, none of that came to fruition.
Some of them got bullets in their heads anyway, courtesy of Misha.
I remember. It was a good day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I'm going to be honest. Powerful organization, but sometimes they can be very toothless, which I understand. There's a lot of bozos that they work with. But at the same time, there was a second thing, right? Is that I could leverage some of this product to get disgruntled citizens to have a solution, right? I mean, you would think, you got access to all this kind of hardware. Maybe you can redirect some of that anger to the right place, right? Make people accountable. It's why America's got the Second Amendment. You know what I mean? I'm not saying a second like July 4th, but something, right? At least fucking give the right people a good lesson. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be honest, Corolla. I very quickly lost interest, not because of the faceless not really holding up their end of the bargain. I mean, it is what it is. But that chaos that they so demand, not really being all that chaotic. And quite frankly, even today, I don't even know what their mission is. And furthermore, I fucking gave them a golden meal on a platter. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not disgruntled with them or anything, but my point is that there wasn't any point anymore. Right? If you got nothing to offer me, then I don't owe you my talent, sort of thing. In the same vein, virtually most of the buyers on the street, right? They seemingly are more interested in shooting each other up than anything else. I mean, don't get me wrong, occasionally there might be some interest, but it's as much as they may be disgruntled with, one situation here or there, their rights getting violated. At the end of the day, when push comes to shove and they have an option, very few will ever take that chance. More concerned with someone pissing them off on the street than,
I think the issue is that there's very few like-minded people communicating with each other. There are people who are very interested in the sort of chaos you're looking for.
Yeah.
That you need, that you want. But you can't sit back and wait for someone else to organize it for you. You got to start putting it in motion yourself.
Thing is, though, Corolla, while I was waiting on the faceless to do something, I feel like I had to do it all by myself. Well, and what do I mean by myself? I mean my cabinet, those around me.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up fixing most of it with a pen and paper. Got out most of the fucking corrupt dumb fucks. And things are in a better place now. So I asked myself, you know, that's kind of why I stepped away. And really, is chaos even needed? Maybe. I think I've more directed myself as if one day another dictator comes up or someone else that tries to bring in justice, who's going to hold them accountable? Not the faceless. I doubt the Oracle will. And I feel like that's when I would truly have to play my cards. So it kind of makes sense. But that said, if you do have some interest in that kind of thing, I can definitely send out a smoke signal, and if they take the bite, I may be able to offer you what it is that I used to have access to. I may be retired, but that doesn't mean my word doesn't have sway.
I'm sure it does. Nino, since you've trusted me with this information, I think it's only fair. I am already a bit busy with those things. I don't know if I could take on another responsibility.
Magazines?
Nope.
Did you say no?
I don't do magazines, but I do what I do. So, yeah.
I see. The reason I said magazines is, there's been meetings that I've been able to observe without my obvious presence.
Mm-hmm.
And Chaos Legion has been, well, it was a representative. So I found out about the mana. Some of the things they may have said. I don't know if that's gotten back to you.
Ooh, I haven't heard anything from them.
It's nothing too deep. Just random gang shit, to be honest. Well, if that is something that ever does come of interest, do let me know. I think where I see myself today and in the future is making sure if judgment needs to be cast, that the right individuals and the right pieces are there to slam down the hammer. You know? I've always liked the idea of a vast network of sleeper cells, right? It could be anyone, really, just knowing that if things get really bad, they can take up arms or do what they need to do. Could even mean, you know, pulling some shit out of an evidence locker, right? Or maybe it means dropping the right goods in the right place. So a set of individuals like-minded, maybe some of different crews, you know, take matters into their own hands. And I know I'm speaking very vague and philosophical, but that is because a lot of my ideas, I've never expressed them out loud, even to my deepest of thoughts.
If the shit hits the fan, somebody's got to handle this city. Somebody's got to take care of the problems. And when the pen is no longer mighty, you got to bring out the sword. We can't let this city go to shit.
No. I mean, we're stuck here. I am gonna say something that's gonna sound a little maybe crazy. I'm not sure if anyone ever really can leave. And what do I mean by that? I don't mean some kind of... I don't mean in the sense that, you know, like we're in that one movie, you know, the one where the guy's living in a fake world and everyone's an actor. I forgot what the hell it's called. But what I mean by
Yeah,
that
I know
is,
which one you're talking.
yeah, you know, you could go to New York, but someone's watching. There'll be a reason why you got to make your way back. Everyone always does. So everyone came back 2 years ago, right? They saw the shit show that everything became, but they still came back. Why'd they come back? Something drew them to it, and it wasn't. For some, maybe love for San Andreas, but I do think for many, I think they were directed. You know what I mean?
I'm not leaving. Not again. Not on this week. Someone hits the nuke, destroys a city. So. But, and if I do have to go, I want to go out with a bang.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
oh, 100%. I know that the faceless, they're not very fond of this Oracle person. I think we lightly touched on that the other day. And that's, you know, given everything I said, that's why I think the Oracle was behind. I think that there was a pot shipment on that plane. Generally speaking, I don't know some of the details, right? It's got to get here somewhere. I mean, for all we know, they've got like a forward operating base, right? Big, large shipments come. Some amount of that then makes its way to the docks, to shore, wherever it might be. But I think with the timing of that twat and, you know, the crashed out plane, I very much think that the Oracle attacked it. Only problem is, just as much as I don't really understand the Faceless's motive, right? What do they really want, right? Because chaos is not a motive. Maybe it is, but they're a little too organized for that to be their only goal. But in the same sense, what does that mean the Oracle's goal is? They're a lot more elusive, other than to stop them. But is it stopping the chaos, or is it just another disagreement, right? Like just blowing up their shit to stop them from doing something else?
Or is it just another gang versus gang sort of thing?
You know,
at a more elegant level.
You know, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. For all we fucking know, the fucking Blue Man was fucking Oracle, and you know, they had a bad breakup.
But the point is still, if the Oracle wants to take down the Faceless, people who you saw in those meetings all depend on that. They depend heavily on the Faceless. So it's not gonna be an easy thing. It's gonna be a big war.
I'm not sure, Corolla. I'm gonna be honest. Look, we can never predict the future, right? But from everything I've seen, for a lot of those folks, you give them enough money, they'll fucking do whatever. I actually don't know how much they got them under their control. I will say this much, that there's a lot that's happened which, for the sake of that, the said individual and individuals, I'm not going to use names or any specific situations unless, let's say it does come down to it. At that point, I would. But just that I have witnessed at least a few people do some of the most devastating things to them. Leak out secrets. Literally bring a lot of risk to them. Like really fuck things up. And I don't mean unintentionally, right? Like a job gone wrong. I mean taking some of these things and turning it into memes and putting themselves in positions where the authorities Lucky, lucky for everybody, the authorities are fucking, just not. Don't know. I don't think they got the fucking brain cells. Faceless did nothing. I don't think that any of these guys respect them. And quite frankly, I think if someone else were to offer something a bit better, I think they would change their allegiance in a heartbeat. I'm going to give you an example right now. Some of the product for a long time, right? Even when it comes to those things, everybody fucking knows where it comes from, right? Prices change. Oh my God, why is it this? Why is it that? Motherfucker, what do you think is happening at a higher level, right? The shit comes over for free over the fucking docks, right? I mean, hell, it wouldn't surprise me if the price doubled tomorrow, right? Just because the military put more ships out. Now, who knows? They may someone might bring a gun in there and try to take the guy out. It's gonna get dirty.
Hmm?
It's gonna get real fucking dirty.
And like you said, you know what the biggest thing is? A lot of the people involved can only see what's directly in front of them, what affects their pocket. They don't go macro.
True.
They're not. They don't think beyond their little gang group or bank accounts. They don't see the big picture, Nino, and that's very dangerous because that's when people make memes, people start acting stupid because they're not thinking of consequences, they're not thinking of bigger picture. But unfortunately, that's what the leaders of the different groups in this city have. Very nearsighted people in charge.
I think, yeah. I will say that luckily there's enough of them that I do find that I've had more success working with when it comes to being able to flip the switch, so to speak. But I think that's where the interesting problem comes into play is how do you direct those that are directionless? How do you use that short-term desire to your advantage? And by your advantage, I mean if push did come to shove, if a side did need to be chosen, and for what end? But I don't know. There's a lot of unknowns. Did I mention New Epsilon's relationship with the Oracle?
Now we know that 2 months ago they twatted out Kiflam, but apart from that, we don't know anything else.
Yeah. I haven't really seen or heard much of Eliza. I'm sure she's been around. I just haven't. Hell, I was going to set up a meeting with her a while back just to. She seems like good people. But once again, she may be just like many others to the faceless, right? In that Eliza may just be someone the Oracle has approached. That's sort of my suspicion.
I don't see her and her Kumbaya crew being connected with the faceless.
No, I don't think so either.
But, if Oracle's playing a goody-goody card of let's stop these awful people, it might convince her and her group to help them out.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I don't know where this ties in with the rest of the investors, so to speak. In a grand scheme of things, I think the Oracle and the Faces. I say this underlinedly. I think they're just pawns in someone's bigger picture that goes beyond them.
Probably. But at the moment, the city is the pawn of these two groups.
Yeah. Not wrong.
They're pulling the string. So, but there's one thing. When there's strings being pulled in two different directions, chaos usually ensues. So it's going to be very interesting, I think. People start taking sides.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I think, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I think right now, any war between those two, if it does turn into one, I'm going to be taking the back seat and eating some fucking popcorn. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't mean like I want to see it go down. I just, why?
Burn the city to the ground and we can start it up the way it should be done.
Yeah, that's, hey, you know, and maybe that's what's needed. That is one thing that I've been in agreement with. Burn it all to the fucking ground. Throw a couple people in a bunker, you know?
Yeah.
Let the rest rot out.
Well, that's one way of doing it, is grabbing the good ones and hiding them away. Or just straight up chaos in the streets. Let it burn to start again. Phoenix can't be reborn unless it's burned.
Very true.
So yeah, that's a sort of chaos I'm interested in.
Okay. I'm going to keep that in mind. Like I said, there's a lot of things I'm working on. I just don't know where all the pieces are going to fall. And if you ever change your mind on, you know, having a conversation with, you know, these people, let me know. And by these people, I mean people handling some of the bigger hardware.
Sounds good.
All right.
Wouldn't be too surprised if I've done business with most of them already.
You're not wrong. Everyone in the, you know, it's one of the strange decisions that I can never wrap my head around. You give, everyone has a copy of the keys to some part of the, you know, the market, right? The hardware market, which is good and bad at the same time, right? Because then the consumer, the customer, the people that use it multiple times a day, they're also the people selling it. It's like, it goes against the, you know, don't smoke your own product, right?
Don't get high on your own supply.
Exactly. It's like that times 5. It's like in the...
I mean, it all depends.
Yeah.
It all depends on what hardware you got.
Hey. That's a good point. Well.
Besides, how often do you lose it? Doesn't happen too much. They rust away before they're taken away.
How often do you lose it? You cut out there.
Sorry, how often do you lose weapons?
Oh, not very
too
often.
much.
No.
They usually rust away before you actually end up using them all. So, at least that's what happened to my lovely little AR. I miss it.
Jesus. Oh, which one's your favorite?
And I've been enjoying using the bullpup lately.
I still can't believe you used to work at a mechanic shop. It's crazy how times have changed.
Hey, what do you mean? How's it crazy? You were the owner of a mechanic shop.
That was just the front. All right.
Well, not surprised.
Yeah.
But yeah. Hey, people grow, change, try different shit out.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
So, needless to say, if you need anything, you give me a call.
Will do.
And yeah, let's pretend that we both forget this conversation.
Perfect.
Sounds
All
good.
right. You stay
See
safe.
you around.